Hello, start. Greetings from Hyderabad. Today's event focuses on QA's roles and responsibilities in a Sitecore-based project and best practices, presented by Jignesh Patel and hosted by me and Vishal Khera. Over to you, Jignesh Patel. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Yamini. So, good evening, all. So, I'm sharing my screen. I hope you can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, let me start this session with my introduction first. So, good evening, all. Myself, Jignesh Patel, associated with Horizontal more than 8 years. I have a total 17 plus years of experience in QA. I'm currently working as a senior QA lead in Horizontal, experience across various domains like finance, e-commerce, medical, and hospitality. My hobby is to playing strategy games, chess, and I'm a fitness freak person. And here is my LinkedIn profile where you can connect with me. So today's topic for the session is QA's roles and responsibility in a Sitecore-based project and the best practices which we are following in the horizontal. So yeah, so the agenda of today's session is overview of the software development lifecycle, which all we already knowing about this, but I'll just go through the phases. But the second point, which is QA's role in each phases of SDLC for Sitecore-based project, which I am going to cover in detail. Third one is Sitecore-Specific QA consideration. Fourth one is best practices, tools, demo of Qmetry, which is one of the test management tool which we are using, and the later on the question answer session. So yeah, this is the overview of software development lifecycle. We all know that requirement analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So let me deep dive into the each phase with QA's role. So in requirement analysis phase, what QA does? First is the understanding of requirement. We usually collaborate with stakeholders and the internal team. Here my meaning of internal team is the development team as well as the project manager, UX, or maybe another person which we are working for the supporting to the clients, or you can say the partners. Uh, Here our responsibility is to ensuring that the requirement is clear, complete, and it does not have any ambiguity. If we find that is there any ambiguity in the system, our duty as a team to collaborate with the stakeholders and resolve that query. And as a requirement management perspective, we are using Confluence where we can store the requirement. It provides a beautiful way to mention your requirement with a comments and other things. So at the last where you ended, you have a concrete answer where you landed. So based on that, further action can be taken. Second thing is about defining the acceptance criteria. So normally, as per the standards, acceptance criteria is the responsibility of BA if your project budget supports, or or from the clients. If client providing the acceptance criteria, it is either PM's or client's duty to create the stories in the respective sprint which you are running. If you are running a sprint based model, if it is a waterfall model, that is a different story altogether. But if it is a sprint, you have to create the story and take it into the respective sprint. We have to make sure that the acceptance criteria should be clear and testable to the entire team. It should be irrespective to the QA team. It should be understanding by developers, designers, or maybe the QA. So we can achieve this stories goal or the proper justice to the requirement. Third point is about risk identification. So here what we are doing is while running through the requirements, while doing the tech analysis, we feel that this particular thing can be a risk of using the specific feature. For example, you feel that you have a form. We have decided or client has asked us to use the Sitecore forms, but our our experience says that the custom form implementation would give a more justice to the requirement. We can raise those kind of risk and discuss more on that part. Here our duty is to raise the risk with the stakeholder and come to the conclusion with the couple of discussions. Fourth one is creating the test plan outline. So this is a very vast topic to cover, but as a test plan document itself, a very big document, it requires multiple iteration to review the document. But if I provide information in a shorter span, this is the document which comprise of the information of the testing teams uh, strategy for the project execution. So normally what kind of information would be there in the test plan? So first is what is the uh, testing type that you are going to perform on the project? What are the testing which you are not going to perform on this test on the project? What are the tools or what are the browsers or devices which can be taken into the consideration? You can also mention the project terminologies, like you are using waterfall or maybe sprint. You can also mention that. You can also mention the priority and severity information there. You can also mention the team information as well. So such type of information would be available in the test plan document. Normally, this is the responsibility of QA lead to create the document, and then it has to be reviewed by your tech lead, your PM, and then it has to be sent to the customer for review. Customer reviews it, will get the approval, and then based on that approval, uh, we will develop our project. So for that, we can take the help from SRS and SOW. What is SRS? SRS is a document which majorly have information of software requirement specification. And what is SOW? SOW means software scope of work. So that is the document created by the client and given to the respective partner to review it, and the test plan can be created based on the SOW provided by the client. So ultimately, this document is an agreement between the two parties. So that is the reason we have to be, it has to be approved from both the parties. And the last phase is providing the feedback. So this section itself suggests that if we feel that the requirement is not proper, or if you feel that this can be achieved in a different manner, or maybe you can suggest a more practical way or technical way to achieve the specific implementation or specific functionality with respect to the timeline or budget, we can suggest that feedback to the client. Any questions? Okay, considering no. Okay. Second phase is design phase. So in design phase, first what QA does. So first is test environment setup. So test environment setup is not the responsibility of QA, but the responsibility of QA here is to verify the environment created from the DevOps or the development team. We have to also make sure that it includes the Sitecore CMS and integration properly. For example, you have a 3 environments, say development environment, test environment, and production environment. But you cannot use the production live credit card information into test environment. You have to create the test environment where you can test the payment and other related information. So this is equal important in the test environment setup. So similarly, lots of other things are there. Second is ensuring the alignment with requirement and design. So here the responsibility of QA team is to review the design documents, like for example wireframes, detailed design documents, architecture design, and to verify that the design fulfill its all requirements. This also includes the both functional and non-functional requirement, like performance, security, usability. So these all things are covered in this phase, in this phase. Third word is planning for automation. So this is again a vast topic to cover, but if your project has a demand of doing the automation testing in the respective client, you can evaluate which component or feature can be automated, and based on that, respective further action can be taken. For example, if client do not have a budget, then they'll go for a free tool like Selenium and Java. If they have a budget to hold the project, then they'll use maybe like Playwright and maybe another uh, functional automation tool, which is a license based automation tool. uh, Fourth one is user experience and the usability testing. So in this particular phase, what QA does is they'll verify the designs, whether it is giving proper usability to the end user. For example, you have a login form, but in the login form, the cancel button comes on the left and the submit button comes on the right. It is not a good user experience. So such type of testing can be done by the users. Normally, as a QA, we refer the wireframes, design documents to do such type of testing. We do not have a specific story for a story in the sprint to test this, but as and when actual story in the sprint comes, we'll do this kind of testing in detail. Any questions? Considering no. Third one is the development phase. So in the development phase, what is QA's role? So here you first point is about collaboration with the development team. So uh, QA team will constantly collaborate with the developer team to understand how they are how and what they are developing. Based on that, we'll get to know that the how which particular structure they are creating. So that will help QA team to create the test cases and test scenarios in future. So its second point, justice to that particular thing which I have mentioned, that QA team begins to design the test cases based on the detailed design. The test case include the integration test, functional test, sometimes UI test, depending on the project types. So this can be okay. This particular point can be achieved in the design phase as well. You can consider in development phase as well. So currently in our projects, we are using the these particular phase to write the test cases, but this can be this test case can be written in design phase as well. Third point is about test automation. So if automation is in our scope or in available in SOW, so QA team will start creating the test script for the features which we decided. So this includes the regression test, API test, UI test, depending on the application. So again, this is a vast topic to cover, but whatever the agreement which is made between the client and the partner, based on that agreement, will QA team start creating the automation script in the respective sprint. And the fourth point is about the test data management. So in the test data management, what QA team does is like, this is not applicable to each and every test cases, but it applies to the test case where you need to verify the test case with some data. For example, you have a rewards point system where user gets some rewards once you buy the $100 items. So you cannot do the 100 transaction with single user. So what you have to do, either you have to take the help from development team or client team to generate such data. You'll keep using those data while testing the requirements. So this is one example. Second is like, for example, your user has say 100 points and they can see the cards in red color. If they have a 200 points, they can see the cards in green color. So these kind of things can be achieved via test data. So it cannot be tested with a fresh user. So test data needs to be created in such cases. Going to next phase, which is a testing phase, where all kind of testing can be done. And I'll go through the each of the testing in like providing the definition, because if I cover respective testing, it will take up much time of it, but I'll provide you the definition of each and every testing which we do in each sprint. So first is build verification testing. This can be renamed as smoke testing. So in build verification testing, what QA team does is they'll test the build uh, in the QA environment or rather test environment and verify that the build is not breaking anywhere. Like for example, you have a login form. Once you click on submit, if it breaks the application, it means your build is not stable. So as a QA, it is our responsibility that we have to give the story back to development team and do the further development on it, and rather solve that bug and assign to QA team for further testing. So if it is passed, then it comes to us for further testing, which is a kind of a functional testing, which is integration testing. So in the integration testing, what QA team does is they'll test the functionality which is integrating with each other. For example, you have a 3 module in the system, A, B, and C. A and B modules are interconnected with each other. So it is QA's responsibility is to verify the A and B functionality thoroughly. So you cannot have a integration testing bug as it deploys to the production and maybe other test environments. Third is regression testing. So this is a testing which is mostly performed when any kind of bug is resolved by the development team. And as a QA, our responsibility is to check the adverse effect in the system because of this specific bug. So we'll perform the regression testing around that area and make sure that the current implementation of code does not impact anywhere in the system. Fourth is system testing. So this is a test. This is again a functional testing, which is performed on the system end to end. So like for example, you have say 10 component in the project. We'll perform the testing on system. We'll perform the testing on those component. You have say 10 flows in the system, for example, login, logout, adding the system into card and check out the application. You have pickup and delivery option in the system. So all kind of flows can be tested within the system testing. This also varies based on the number of browsers, devices, what you have taken into the consideration. So it varies based on your definition of the project. But system testing, basically, it is an end-to-end testing you have to perform in the system. UAT, which is a user acceptance testing. This is mostly done by the client. In some cases, if client is not technical, they'll ask the internal team to perform it. But majorly, this is a responsibility of the client team. It can be done sprint wise or end of the projects. So if there is a agreement between the client and partner that they'll perform the UAT at the end of the sprint, they'll perform the testing. We'll give time to the client that you have to complete the testing in this much of time, and then if they find some bug, we have to log those bugs, and then respective entire bug life cycle would be followed, and then we have to give justice to all the business test cases which was written in the UAT testing. As a QA, it is our responsibility to ask to the client that they'll provide the UAT test cases to us. So we'll make sure that we'll test it before it comes to the client's bucket. So in testing terminology, it is called a defect leakage. So if we have given this build to the client and we were not able to find the bug in the system, but client is able to find the bug in the system, it means that defect can be leaked from the internal QA, and that is caught by the client team. So this is a terminology called defect leakage. This is again a vast topic, but I am covering the major the superficially each and every point. Automation testing, providing a brief, like in the automation testing, it is a piece of code executed using some technologies, Java. So we are using Selenium with Java and C#. So piece of code can be executed for executing some test cases. It does not require any manual intervention from the any testers or QAs. This can be time saver. You can execute it multiple times without user intervention, but it requires extra money to create and maintain, because if you link with CI/CD pipeline, then extra cost could be attached to it. So again, a vast topic to cover, but this is what automation testing would be. API testing, this is again optional. If API testing, it basically, if you API testing is a business layer testing. So you can test your application with a set of inputs, with positive or negative inputs, and in such a way that the UI cannot UI system cannot be break after the so let me correct my words again. So in API testing, you will test the application in a business front. So as UI, you cannot see anything on the system. So you can ideally saving your time to see the defect on UI side. Cross-browser and device testing. This is again a vast topic to cover, but cross-browser and device means this is again mentioned as per the SOW. If your client says, I wanted to test the system in say Chrome, Firefox, or maybe Edge, and I want device, for example, one Samsung and one iPhone. So basically 5 device and browsers we need to test. Those kind of testing can be done here. Consider a case client found a bug which was not mentioned in the SOW document or in the test plan document. What we have to do? In such cases, we have to review the test plan, see whether this was mentioned in the SOW. We have to discuss with client. If client agrees, disagree, whatever the conclusion comes, but we have to put that defect into the either in the sprint or in the change request to better tackle it in the future. The next testing which we do is multilingual testing. So if your website is running on different regions, at that time you have to test the content in English, maybe Hindi, or French, Portuguese, or maybe Spanish, or maybe like Dubai. If it is Dubai, then or EMEA region, then you have to test it from right to left, because that comes from right to left uh, mm, writing pattern. So such type of testing can be done in multilingual testing. Localization and globalization testing. This is again a testing which is performed based on the region and the locales which they are built. So here mostly QS duty is to verify the language content, the content language, the measurement unit, date format, currency symbol, phone numbers, and address validation. So such kind of things can be a test case, can be a part of test cases in localization and globalization testing. So yeah, any questions till now? Okay. Types of testing that can be performed at the last phase of the projects. So performance testing, accessibility, and the security testing. So this type of testing cannot be giving the proper justice if we do the testing in each and every sprint, because we are building the products. And if I run the test for performance in a one single sprint, but my second sprint code has been code has written in such a way that the memory leak happened. So this will not give the proper justice to the actual code available in the sprint 2. So this type of testing can be executed at the last sprint, or maybe on the production environment or staging environment. If it is a staging environment, it has to be a scale like the production environment. So the will measure the actual parameters of it. So in the performance testing, what we'll do is we'll provide we'll increase the number of users and verify the response time, throughput, and other parameters, and check whether the system behaves properly with number of large users. So it is a vast topic to cover. If in future sessions, if I have an opportunity, I'll be little bit deep diving into such type of testing. But for now, this is the definition of it. Accessibility testing. Accessibility testing comes. Accessibility testing is basically your software has to be built for all the audience, not for the specially abled people. Your software should be usable by everyone. So it should not be happen that the disabled people cannot access your system. So it has to be accessed through specially able people and the color blindless people. Everyone can use your software. It has some uh, set of tools available in the market to perform the accessibility testing. There are a couple of organization to support it, like AA, WCAG is the organization which support different level of accessibility, single A, double A, triple A. So whatever has been decided in SOW document, you have to provide you have to test rather the software with as per the SOW. So I'll be little bit giving information in my coming slide for accessibility. Uh, so yeah, security testing again. This is mostly a third-party tool where you have to check your system with the if unintended user cannot access your system, you have to check the vulnerability available in the system. So it is a vast topic to cover. Third-party tool can analyze your entire system, generate a report, and our duty as a QA is to discuss with client. If something is high or critical priority, we have to create that bug, and that bug has to be taken care into the respective sprint, and that bug has to be tested again, and that can be deployed in the production environment. So yeah, going next. Deployment phase. So in the deployment phase, there is no separate activities can be performed by QA. That is, I have segregated into into this particular section into two parts: pre-production deployment validation, which I already mentioned in the last slide, the first section, and the production deployment validations. Normally, once the deployment has been done on production, what we'll do is we'll perform the smoke testing of feature, whether my functionality is working or not. I do the content verification, like is there any test content appears on the website. Again, it is content team's responsibility to cover the actual content on the website, but it could be, if your website is very large, it could be a chance because it is a human based uh, human has entered such kind of thing, so it can be a chance of missing something. So we are verifying that content as well, and ensuring that the live system stability. So if you test some, like perform the exploratory testing, or maybe doing some random validation of the application, and it should not break. So that kind of testing we normally do on the production environment after deployment. Last phase comes, which is a maintenance or post deployment phase. What is QA's role here? So our role is to monitoring the system and taking the feedbacks from the client. If they find something fishy in the system, we'll discuss over the call. If they find it is a bug, we'll report that bugs into the system in the test management tool, and we'll try to reproduce that bug, and we'll solve that bug based on the how critical it is. And the third one is regression testing. So this is equally the responsibility of both the teams, client and the partner. You have to do the keep perform the regression testing on the application, because here actually the automation script will give you the proper justice, because if you run the automation script, it will keep executing test cases in the system and giving you the proper result if something is broken in the system, and maybe a number of things can be found while performing the regression testing. Any question till now? I'm keep speaking. If you have any question, just let me know. Okay, the next is a very important step. I was keep speaking about the phases and other things, but what about site course? So what specifically we are testing as a part of Sitecore? So first is a component and its variation in the content editor and the page editor. So now it is a page editor. Previously it was known as experience editor, but in XM Cloud it is renamed as page editor. So I have mentioned page editor. So here QA's duty is to add the component on the page, checking the variations of that specific component. If it is a hero banner, which say for example you have a hero banner component with heading and the description. Second variation is having the only title, only image and the CTA. So such kind of variation can be developed by the developer team, and it is our responsibility is to test that variation on the pages. So we'll create the test cases of each variation based on the stories. If it is a separate story for two variation, we'll create a separate story. But if it is a same story, then we'll repurpose the test cases in the our test management tool and execute those test cases. Templates, in the templates level, for example, you have a template, say product listing page, and it has say 5 components available with the given requirement. So it is our responsibility to create a template of the page, verify that the 5 respective components are available on the page. As a QA, for performing the negative testing, we have to add some component at the top, bottom, middle of the page and verify that the template works after adding such component on the page. We'll also perform the validation on forms. If it is a Sitecore forms, we can add or change the labels, validation messages, change the class names, change the button or CTA names. Such type of validation can be made if it is a Sitecore form. But if it is a custom form, then it is a different validations. It has to be it is a more front end driven than the back end driven. So in such cases, test case could be differ. Fourth is dictionary items and validation messages. So if you are using any forms and it has some say 10 fields and it has say 5 mandatory fields. So all dictionary items, all labels, all validation messages should come from the Sitecore, not hard coded. So as a QAs, it is our responsibility to test all items and validation messages coming from Sitecore. If the this is more complex when you have a multilingual sites, you have to test with different languages, different validation messages. So in such cases, if you it is very easy if you use the Sitecore based forms, and if it is a custom form, again it is a pain point for QA team to verify that messages come from the they have handled messages smoothly in the custom implementation. Fourth one is media library. So media library again, if your component uses the images, videos, in such cases, it is our responsibility to upload single or multiple videos, images at a media library, use those images and videos in the actual component, delete those media libraries things, and verify that the added things are correctly displaying on the website or not. We'll also perform the user security roles related validation as well. For example, you have a 3 layer of roles like content editor, content approver, and admins. So we'll test that content editor can only add the content in the system, but they cannot approve it. So as an approver, if I logged in, then I can approve as an approver, I can approve the content, and admin has a elevated rights of doing all the operation which content editor and approver can do. Workflow comes into the picture when we do the user roles related stuffs. So we can test the workflow, how it is built, and like create, draft, approved, reject, and all steps comes into the picture if it is implemented. We are also testing the page and language version. So consider a page which has four versions. So I can, as a QA, we need to verify that I can see the latest version of the page available on the website. But if I have restrict the latest version of the page and put in the restricted area, then I could see the third page version in the system in the UI. So those kind of testing can be done in the page version. In the language version, if your website provides the multiple languages, for example, maybe English and French. So it is QA's responsibility to add the text content taken from the Google Translator and add those French content in the component level and verify that your website displays those respective language content on the website. So this is where the QA team test all the language related stuff as well. This becomes very complex when your website is accessible through globally. So you need to test with maybe 20-30 languages. We had one project in the horizontal in the past where I have tested the application with 28 different languages. So yeah, second is about page creation, editing, and publishing. This is again a simple thing. You have to create the page, add some component on the page, edit the data source or edit the content on the page, and you have to publish your page and verify that whether the correct page has been displayed on the website or not. Next is about error handling. So it is it comes into the our practice that we have to create the 404 and 500 pages. So if you do not find any respective page in the website, it has to be navigated to 40 page, and it is properly designed so user cannot see the irrelevant content on the page when it comes to the 404 or your server, or if you are putting your website on the maintenance window. So proper page should be displayed on the pages. Proper error page should display on the website. Next is A/B testing and multivariate testing. So this is again a vast topic to cover, but in the A/B testing, what we normally do is we'll create one story in the sprint where we because in A/B testing, Sitecore provides maybe 10, 20, or 30 maybe rules. It is next to impossible to test all the rules in the story. So we'll define those rules for that story. We'll perform the testing around those rules, and in the A/B testing, if you wanted to see the different content on different region bits, for example, US can see the different size or different banners, and in India we can see the different banner. Such type of personalization can be achieved through A/B testing. But if you want to test the multiple variation of the pages, at that time you can use the multivariate testing and test the multiple variation of the pages in a single implementation. The next one is about Sitecore product specific testing, which is a vast topic to cover, but Order Cloud, like for the example, Sitecore has couple of products like Order Cloud, CDP, Discover, Sitecore Send, and maybe Sitecore Search and other products. So if you are using such product into the testing, you should have a little background on such products. So in my current project, we are exploring on Order Cloud. So Order Cloud, in the backend, Order Cloud uses the API. So as a QA, we should have a basic knowledge about what is API testing. So you need to know about what is the get, put, patch, and delete thing works. You'll definitely going to get the collections from your development team, but it is QA's equal responsibility to change those collection, modify such data, and verify whether it gives the proper output once you provide the different set of output in the system. Similarly, it applies to CDP and Discover if you are using such kind of platform in the system, but it varies depending on how and which platform you are using in which project. So it varies. Moving into the next, any question till now? Okay. Next is about best practices for QA in Sitecore-based projects. So this is, you should be aware about the below things to define the best practices for the Sitecore-based project. For example, Sitecore ecosystem. So you should have a good knowledge on Sitecore ecosystem, like how CMS work, how content CMCD works, how Sitecore search work, how the order cloud and maybe the component system works, how content delivery and experience editor works. So this is a entry criteria for you to define the best practices for your project, Sitecore-based project. You should have a clear understanding of Sitecore roles, like for example, content editor, marketer, maybe approver, admin role, super admin role in some cases. So you should have a knowledge of it and how can be accessed in the Sitecore. Lord, there are workflows which attach to different roles. So you should have a good knowledge on such areas. Third is about Sitecore specific functional testing, like which I already mentioned in my previous slide about personalization rules, A/B testings, analytics, which Sitecore provides. So these kind of things you should be aware about while doing the functional testing. Fourth is about integration testing, like Sitecore integrates with marketing automation, Salesforce, CRM. Maybe in some cases it is linked with third-party APIs. So you should have a little or maybe deeper knowledge about such integration testing. Then you can define the best practices of your project. So 5 steps for best practices. First is define clear objectives and requirements. You should have a clear walkthrough from your business analyst or development team to ensure that both the teams should have a clear understanding of requirement. Create a test plan, which I already covered in my first slide, that you should create the test plan. It has to be approved from both the parties, so your software do not fail. It should not be over budgeted because of the unapproval at the end. So it has to be approved from both the parties. Test designs. So you have to create the test cases for CMS. You have to create the test cases for functional. You have to create the test cases for smoke and regression. You can generate the integration or system test cases. This can be optional because ultimately you have covered these things in your regression or smoke testing if it is not differ. But if it is a different thing, you have to write such test cases. You can define or you can refine your test cases based on the subsequent sprint implementation. For example, you have a story where you can add the items into the carts, and you have a one story in the system in the sprint, consider a sprint 5. But in the sprint 6, you have an implementation of, say, checkout. So it is your duty to perform the adding the product into cart and then performing the checkout in a single shot. This is your integration, and the system testing comes into the picture. So you can either define the integration or system test cases, or you can define the user. There is a terminology called use cases testing. So you can create a use cases, you can perform such testing. You can also perform another testing which is called state transitioning testing. This is again a different terminology, but you can perform such testing as well, that if you want to achieve the proper result of it. The fourth phase is about test execution. So whatever the hard work which you did for the first 3 phases, this is the phase which gives the justice to these particular 3 phases. You have to actually execute your test cases. You have to execute your functional test cases, your positive, negatives, your edge cases, your CMS test cases, your different browser test cases, different device test cases, and verify that each and everything works. And if it is not working, it is our duty to log those bugs into the system and assign it to the respective developer. What as a horizontal we are following is, if your test case is passing, though we are attaching the screenshot or videos as a part of evidence. So we had a multiple time conversation with like the thing which is working on test environment is not working on production environment. So as a tester, as a part of evidence, we have a proof of that we have executed such test cases in test environment and it was working. So it is giving the confidence to the testing team that we have executed, but this is something maybe the environment related stuff or maybe the configuration related stuff. So even development team can also easily find out the root cause whether it is a configuration or code related issue. But this is an important phase where we'll follow these practices which I have mentioned here. And the last phase is about tracking and the reporting the issues. So tracking and the reporting issues comes divided into two parts. So tracking means I log the issue assigned to the respective developer with a specific tool. So currently we are using Jira as a test management tool, but it can be Azure DevOps or maybe other test management tool. So you can assign that bugs. And the report, it means consider that in this sprint you have 10 stories. In the 10 stories, as a development, as a QA team, we found 50 bugs. And those 50 bugs, 30 bugs are high priority and 20 may be medium priority. So it is our duty to raise the concerns with the tech lead that this is the we are getting some high priority bugs. So make sure that you can minimize those bugs in the future releases, so we can have a better quality in the system. But this could vary because of the implementation which we follow. If it is a complex tech integration, for example, you have a order cloud, you have a discover, you have a XM clouds, all new systems, and it would be tough for the development team to deliver to the QA team on time. So they need to stretch. As a QA team, we need to stretch, but we should have a proper justice to those bugs. So this is again a duty of QA team to mention such information in the reporting of such a bug report. So this can be mentioned in the reporting, and this report can be shared with, in some cases not with client, but in some cases if client is available in each and every discussions, we can send such information in the such information to the client as well to have a better transparency over the system. Any questions? Next is about tools. Let me just have a sip of water. So tools. So tools can be categorized into 7 different phases here. So test case writing tool. As a horizontal, we are using Qmetry, Qtest, and TestRail. These all are not on premises, but Qmetry we are using at on premises in horizontal. Automation, this is Selenium with Java or C#. Performance testing, we are using JMeter and JMeter. And load runner we recently introduced, but this is again not implemented till now, but this is in our discussion phase. Screenshot capturing, we are using Snagit. Project management, we are using Jira and Azure DevOps. For API testing, we are using Postman. And for accessibility testing, we are using ShortSite and Lighthouse for Chrome. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, I'll be giving little information in the accessibility. So this is the time I explain little more on accessibility. So for accessibility testing, we'll perform the testing of our website in ShortSite, which is a license-based tool which we horizontal bot will perform the testing in a ShortSite. It gives me the report of issue which it finds in the system, and as a QA and developers will sit together, define the criticality of the respective bug and solve those bugs and taken into the sprint and take proper action on the found bugs. So now it is the time to explain the demo of the tool which we are using. So I have taken the screenshot of QMetry tool, because if it is a client, I am using client data, so it is not it cannot be shared with this forum. So I have taken the screenshot of each and every steps which we are performing. So let's go for the demo. First is test case view. So as you can see on the left side, which I have arrowed, this is a test case ID, and on the right side it is a summary, which is a test case summary. So as you can see, we have created the three type of test cases. One is CMS, desktop and mobile. So in the CMS test cases, we will provide the information what we do normally test, like where the component lies in the Sitecore tree structure, what will test, like title, subtitle, description, images, such type of information will test. We'll provide the test data if it is requires a test data. We'll provide the expected result as well. On the right side, you can see the attachment icon. So if if we provide some attachment to respective requirement, will attach the information here. Uh, on the top side, you can see the new button. Once you click on new, this UI can be seen to you. And there is a new implement, as we all are knowing that AI is booming in the market. So if you click on generate test cases, it will give you the AI based test cases available with us. You have to just provide the acceptance criteria here. It will auto generate the test cases, but you need to revise, or you need to read out those test cases, whether it gives you the proper readability to the end user, and then do the respective take the further step into it. So this is a test case view. If I go to the test case execution view, in the test execution can be divided into two parts. So first is creating a test case cycle. So for example, this is as you can see in the screenshot, this is a header. So header is basically a test cycle which I have created. And if I go to the okay, let me go to the previous one. Okay, so once you create the test cycle, you have to add your test cases here, or rather link your test cases here in this respective test cycle. So header is a test cycle. You can write test cases, which I have mentioned in the first slide. Here is the step. You can select the test cases and link your test cases. And on the right top corner, you can see the link your test cases button. Once you click that, your test cases will be linked to your respective test cycle, and it can be seen something like this. So here on the right side, you can see I have make a arrow. Once create on arrow, that will execute your test cases. So once you click on that arrow, it will give you the view of something like this. You can see on the top of the section, you can see three buttons: gray with not executed, red with failed, and the right with the green with past test cases. So once you give the proper update the proper result of the test cases, your test case could be either pass, failed, and you can see the view something like this. For example, in the header test cases, you have a total 28 test cases. In that, one test case is pass and one test case is failed, and you have not executed the 26 test cases. So this is the overall view of mm, uh, uh, the test case summary, or rather test case cycle. So header is a test case cycle. You can see the entire view of the respective story which you have created. Next is about the defect. So defect, as you can see, uh, once you click on the arrow which I have created, like create a bug, once you click on create a bug, it will create a bug with your linked system. So for us, like linked system is a Jira. So once I click on create a bug, it will create a bug in the Jira. And on the left side arrow, if that bug is linked with your existing test cases, that bug can be seen here. So currently, if I create a bug from here, save it, I can see the 1 instead of 0 if that bug is linked with specific test cases here. So yeah, that's it from my side. Any questions, any suggestions, anything? What your thoughts, which I, if I missed in the Sitecore part, which I can take care in testing, while testing something, you can provide your feedbacks.
Any questions, guys? Because I think today we had a very good perspective from QA team, because we'll understand like from what perspective we also have to look into a few features that we might miss out as a development team. So I think that was a great session. Any questions you
Yep.
could ask Jignesh now?
Yeah, you can also connect with me in the Sitecore user groups if you have any questions. So yeah.
Yeah, guys.
Yep.
Thank you a lot, people.
Thank
I
thank
no
you.
questions, right? Thank you for the opportunity, and I think it was a great session from QA side. So I think it's wonderful. Thank you. Let's meet in
Thank
another
you.
session. Bye all.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.